Good morning, students. I'm Dr. Himanshu Kanpal, Assistant Professor English, Government MS College for Women, Bikaner. Today we are going to start a new poem, Spring and Fall, written by Gerard Manley Hopkins. About the poet, Gerard Manley Hopkins was born on 28 July 1844 and was an English Victorian poet. After a long period of obscurity means that he is not known to many people, he is now regarded as one of the leading Victorian poets. He did not get published until 1918, almost 30 years after his death. He was educated at Highgate School and subsequently went to Oxford, where he came under the influence of the Oxford movement and John Henry Newman. In 1866, he converted to Roman Catholicism, and 2 years later, he joined the Jesuit Society. In 1877, he was ordained. Ordained means to officially make someone priest. He was ordained to priesthood. Hopkins is regarded as a great innovator of poetic language due to the originality of his style. He succeeded in breaking up the outdated and outworn conventions. Convention means a usual way of accepting the things. Conventions used in poetry at that time. Hopkins's poetry belongs to the modern period on the basis of its subject meter. This is very important regarding Hopkins' poetry, that it belongs to modern period on the basis of its subject matter because he experimented with language, its use of language, and the experimentation in rhythm and syntax. He was a great innovator in the sense that he joined new words, and sprung rhythm is his greatest contribution to poetry. He is called as a great innovator because he experimented in rhythm and syntax and innovated a new form that is called as sprung rhythm. What is sprung rhythm? It is actually a metrical system structured around feet with a variable number of syllables per foot, with the stress always falling on the first syllable in a foot. In addition to developing new rhythmic effects, Hopkins also excelled in ways of rejuvenating poetic language by his striking use of the language, often employing compound and unusual word combinations. His renowned works include the poem The Wreck of Deutschland and Felix Randall and the Windhover. So, Hopkins was a major influence on modern poets. It is said that when the second edition of the poems of Hopkins was published in 1930, the reviewer of the Times Literary Supplement made the following bold statement about Hopkins, that it would hardly be an exaggeration to say that Hopkins was the most original of the poets of the 19th century. There is no denying the fact that Tennyson, Browning, and Arnold were original in their own peculiar ways, though none of them broke new grounds like Hopkins. In relation to the technical innovations brought about by Hopkins were so perfect that Edith Sitwell was forced to remark that he should not be regarded as a model, since he worked his own discoveries to the uttermost point. There is no room for advancement, for development along his lines. This is all about G.M. Hopkins interpreting the poem. Now we are going to learn about the introduction of the poet The Spring and Fall. Spring and Fall to a Young Child is a short lyric poem, and it is addressed to a young girl, Margaret. It was written about the time when Hopkins was feeling most depressed by overwork and by what he regarded as squalor of his life. Hopkins, when wrote this poem, he was at that time living in Liverpool, which he thought to be of all the places and the most useless, a most unhappy and miserable spot. So, in the poem Spring and Fall, the poet examines the principles on which nature works. According to the title, the poem is addressed to a young child. In the opening line, the poet addresses a little girl, Margaret, who grieves on seeing trees shedding their leaves. So, the poem is addressed to a young child named Margaret. Margaret is an imaginary child. So, the ideas here conveyed through the poem are not Hopkins's ideas. We can say that these are the ideas conveyed in the poem is of the imaginary child Margaret. She feels unhappy on the falling of the leaves in a forest. The child, out of her innocence, is anxious for the falling of leaves as she is for the things of men. So here the poet tells Margaret that leaves are just like men and women. They are part of this world. But the trauma of the situation is that it means it is disturbing. The trauma of the situation is that this innocence will vanish and her heart will remain unmoved even after seeing the whole forest lying leafless. He tells her that she need not feel sorry. The poet tells Margaret that she need not feel sorry because she is so yet fresh and young. When men grew older, they are going to they will come across such sights and it will not affect them at all. They will not utter a single sigh when they see large woods falling leaf by leaf. Leaves like the things of men you with your fresh thoughts care for, can you? The child will weep then too, but for other reasons. It is noteworthy that the source of this sadness will be the same as that of her childish grief, although her childish understanding cannot articulate the fact as clearly as her adult self would enable her to do. Margaret is thus already mourning her own mortality. So, the little girl Margaret in the poem represents the innocence and inexperienced aspect of life, whereas the speaker who communicates the message to the girl is one who has acquired the wisdom through experience. It is the speaker knows that it is very strange that although this fact about decay and death is no secret, yet nobody has so far expressed it. And this legacy, he hands over this wisdom as a legacy to the next generation, because he knows that everything decays and dies in the end. Man is a mortal being. Man was born to die in the end. So here Margaret grieves not so much because she sees the decay and death of the forest, but because she knows that she herself is subject to death. So mortality, although the poem is extremely simple in expression, the ideas it here conveys are highly philosophical and thought-provoking. Mortality is the main source of sorrows in this world, and through this poem Hopkins wants to convey this idea that man was born to die in the end. So decay and death are part of life. And Margaret, who is feeling sorry, who is crying for the decaying or the falling of the leaves, is going to realize that this is all part, and when she is going to grow old, she is going to realize that this is all part and parcel of life. The theme of the poem, sorrow, spring are the same, conveys a profound message to humanity that, be it a nature of man, mortality is the chief cause of their sorrow. So, in the falling leaves, she sees the vision of her own decay and death. So, the poet says to her, "It is Margaret you mourn, for Margaret is grieving for the death of Margaret, for that individuality and distinctness which is symbolized by the figure and name of the Margaret." Poet in the poem make use of compound words such as golden groove, vanwood and leaf meal used by Hopkins in this poem, which add to the literary beauty of the poem. This is all about introduction to the poet and introduction to the poem. Thank you.